as a combined figure.
Okay.
And of all the sides this week, Hull had the best swing of positive compared to negative plays in their performance. Yeah, I've started to look at a few different new numbers. One of them will come in the tail of the round as well. Individually, mate, went both ways as we expect. Danny Houghton, reigning man of steel, 52 tackles, 11 marker tackles, 7 tackle busts. Mahe for Newer, 111 metres for him. The real engine room for Hull in this one though was Liam Watts, 117 metres, and Scott Taylor, 142 metres. If they can keep doing that like they did last season, it's gonna be a season like last season, you'd think, for Hull. Jake Connor grabbed that all important try on his debut. Danny Kermond, 49 tackles, 14 of which marker tackles for Wakefield, the captain's knock there. Tinirao Arona with 47 tackles, 11 marker tackles, 100 metres as well for him coming off the bench. David Fafita, 128 metres, also off the bench, so good impact from the bench forwards for the Trinity. And then Tom Johnson, 131 metres, and Bill Tupou, 135 metres.
Okay, so you alluded to it earlier, Mark. What was the tail of the round?
Well, I think the big story, I suppose, was that Weather kept defences on top, and rustiness in attacks helped reinforce that too. It was the lowest average breaks per game of any round since SLP started in 2014.
Wow.
It was the third lowest for metres per game average and the third highest for marker tackles per game average. This last one will be one to look out for as well, as the new interpretation that discourages walking off the mark is going to slow down ruck speeds or not. It's we also saw teams getting a lot of tacklers on each carry. So on average, 2 tacklers were in to stop each carry that was made by the sides, which is higher than the average since SLP began of 1.8. Right. So although the numbers seem small, when you think the relative difference,
of course,
is a 10% change. So more tacklers in at the play. Obviously, I don't know if they're not being able to move off the mark is allowing the markers to get set and therefore allowing more marker tackles, and then as well allowing teams' defences more time to get to players. It'll be interesting to see. I hope it
encourages the quick play of the ball. That's what it's meant for, isn't it?
I also hope it encourages more clever play rather than just... And Justin Conley still got away with it a dozen times, and it wound me up, stepping to the side a yard or two, so the markers are well out of the action.
Yeah.
Like Brian picked up on earlier on. So we shall see how that all evolves. But yeah.
There you go. So what happened in the opening week of predictions and Super Bruin Dream Team then, Mark?
We both went 4 out of 6 for our predictions to start the season.
Are we keeping a more accurate score between you and I this year? We did talk about it, didn't we? Like having a more kind of...
Maybe every week when I add it in, I'll add on a cumulative count then, shall I?
Yeah, let's see how we do.
Okay. Colin Render had the best week in Super Brew. He sits top with 9 whole points. Well, I think you edged me with a quarter of a point, but we're mid-table, aren't we?
Yes.
Paul Wilson started the Dream Team competition off best with a weekly score of 644.
Right.
One of my teams sits third.
There you go. Bravo.
My other team...
So is that the one that you're going to concentrate on then?
No, I'm going to concentrate on both for now and see where I get to.
Fair enough. There you go. Right, well, that's round 1 of Super League covered then. Let's take a look now at some results from elsewhere in the world of rugby league. So to other results then, and it was round 2 in the Championship this weekend. Batley were 24 points to 6 winners over Halifax. Yet more trouble for the Shaymen up at the Foxes Biscuits Stadium, Mark.
Yeah, I think Halifax's Twitter feed must have been run by Ryan Hampshire, the way they celebrated that try when the game was already lost.
Yeah, Ryan Hampshire didn't quite have his thinking cap on with that celebration, did he, for Castle, for Lee, but bless it. I think even I blew up at him at watching it on TV. So You lose it by 1 million, you dick. Anyway.
But good result for Batley.
Exceptional result for Batley. And
bounce back as well from the hammering they took in Toulouse.
Bradford Bulls were defeated at home 14 points to 22 by the Rochdale Hornets.
Top of the table, Hornets.
There you are, exactly. We got some feedback on this one from Dr. Bob Phillips. He said, I'm sat in Rochdale with the grandparents following the game on Twitter and broken internet radio. Such delight has rarely been heard as the plucky Hornets crushed the might of the Bulls by intelligent game decisions and muddy muscle. Through personal safety reasons, I didn't explain that the Bulls were 2/3 of a scratch team running on hope and sixth formers, which is basically true. But take nothing away from Rochdale. They played the conditions better. They were stronger with the ball in hand, and they executed. It was an error-strewn game, but the Bulls did make a lot of errors. Bright points for me. Jordan Lilly is just too good for that division. Anything good that happened from the Bulls either came out of his hands or off his boot, really.
So if Leeds don't score a few tries against Lee, then he's back, isn't he?
He's an exceptionally gifted young man, and it was quite amusing for me to see him modelling the new Bulls kit over the Twitter feed this weekend. I think if you'd said to me this time last year that Jordan Lilly would be a Bulls player, I would have had to have contrived some pretty bizarre circumstances. not unlike the ones we find ourselves in now. Dewsbury were beaten at home, beaten 2 weeks on the trot, 6 points to 8 by Swinton Lions.
Another one of these weather-affected games, but it was Liam Forsyth again who scored the winning try for Swinton, so strong performance in defeat against London. Looks like a strong performance again for the youngster on dual reg from Wigan.
And they've got the Bulls up next, so they'll be brimming with confidence. It was Featherstone 8, Oldham 6, another muddy affair down at the Big Fella Stadium. London and Hull KR faced off in what was our championship game of the week. It was 22 points to 28 in favour of the visiting Rovers.
Oh, if we were tracking... I didn't track the championship predictions, but I edged you on this one.
No, we'll just stick with Super League.
Okay, yeah.
Although had it gone the way I wanted it to, I might have.
Loads of feedback, which we often get from London games, which is great. Getting a perspective nationwide on SLP, guys.
Yes.
Paul, which is Paul Campbell. Is so famous in SLP circles. He only goes by one name now, obviously. Disappointed Hull were not great. We gave away 2 silly schoolboy errors that cost us. Performance-wise, we were pretty good, but still gave away too many penalties.
Chris Macy said, I can't feel too disheartened by that result. We seem to have ironed out our poor start from last week, but in the first half we seemed to lack some creativity in attack. Our second half was great, and we really put the Robins under the cosh, but then we became our own worst enemies with the lack of discipline. Another thing we really need to tidy up if we are to progress this season. Can't fault our effort, though.
It sounds a lot like the week before for London, from what Chris says. Ian Gatwood says, fantastic game, silly penalties by London, giving Hull KR tries in the first half. Hull KR seemed to be running away with it in the second half, until spirited fightbacks saw London almost draw at the end. Not a lot between both sides. Great atmosphere, played in great spirit, great atmosphere, great advert for the sport.
There you go. The big man, Dave Cantrell, Dr. Hideous himself, got in touch. He says, this was a good, close game, and both teams had a couple of scores disallowed, so it could have gone either way, depending on which way Lady Luck had smiled. I was pleased with what an expansive game the Broncos played, lots of passing and offloading from tackles. Also pleased to see how many travelling supporters there were for Rovers. Burger Stall ran out of burgers, showing what a big crowd it was. I'm sure Dave chipped in.
George McWilliams, a new one on me. Thanks for getting in touch there, George. London looked the better of the two sides. However, giving away silly penalties gave Hull KR good ground, and they were able to grind out the win. Very impressive Broncos performance. Overall, looks very positive for the rest of the season. Also, with Wayne Bennett watching England World Cup squad, may have a few surprises.
He's got a laughing face emoticon there. I should hasten to add.
They were down doing some workshops with the Broncos scholarship coaches and that sort of thing on, I think, Friday and Saturday. The Broncos coaching staff. So that's great to see the integration down there. And I believe they'll be having a training session with both. With the Cronulla side as well.
Oh, fabulous.
Early this week.
There you go. Yeah, I saw some pictures. Friend of the show, Aaron Smith, he put some pics up of the Broncos lads, the Brisbane Broncos lads, helping out the youngsters at London as well, which was cool to see.
Brilliant. Well, I think those Eels boys can teach Brisbane a thing or two, really.
You never know. Let's
Go on the Eels.
Come on the Eels. Right, final game then. Sheffield, perhaps surprising, with 32 points to 14 winners over Toulouse, Mark.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the fact that there was that many tries. It's the second game out on that Bellevue pitch.
Yes, exactly.
But well done to them. Early stages, obviously, but promoted Rochdale stay top with their 100% record. Hull KR and Featherstone also 100% starts. Without the points deduction, Bradford will be 11th rather than 12th. They are one of 3 winless sides so far.
It was the second round of the Challenge Cup as well. This weekend, London Chargers were defeated by the Friston Warriors 40 points to 12. Mighton Warriors beat York Acorn by 18 points to 4. Fev Lions were defeated at home by London side West's Warriors, Mark.
Yeah, 26-0 was the score, and Aaron Smith said, "This was big news down south this weekend. They progressed into the third round now where they could draw a League One team. The West Warriors are an interesting story to follow up. A London-based Kiwi amateur rugby league team. They have a big turnaround of players, but when a New Zealand rugby league player is in town, the West Warriors stand as a platform where they can play the game alongside their brothers."
What a fantastic concept.
Yeah, I hope someone picks that up. One of the other shows maybe that focuses on more the fringes of the game.
It would be interesting.
Unless someone from the West Warriors wants to give us a call. And
absolutely.
We'll sort out an interview ahead of the next Cup game,
100%. Bit closer to home though. Haydock were 30 points to 20 winners over the Thornhill Trojans. Kells were defeated at home, narrowly set 14 points to 16 by Rochdale Mayfield. Wigan St Pat's lost out at home 18 points to 28 against Egremont Rangers. And the televised game saw Pilkington Rex defeated 34 points to 10 at home against Siddle.
Yeah, Brian Davies got in touch on this. He said, "Great idea by the BBC to live stream the community clubs in the Challenge Cup. Good game and real game of two halves. Pilk Rex were well on top in the first half, but the game can change so much so quickly at this level, which makes it so unpredictable and therefore great to watch."
And one other note on that, West Hull versus Thatto Heath was postponed. One would assume due to the horrid weather.
I think it's been rearranged for next Saturday, I think.
Alright, well that's the world of Rugby League completely covered. Let's bring you our predictions then for round 11 of Super League and also the World Club Series. Okay, so the second week of the season is upon us, Mark, and it's a bit of a truncated one as we make way for the World Club Series. 2 games played over 2 nights. Warrington take on Brisbane on Saturday evening, and Wigan play Cronulla on Sunday afternoon in the showpiece event. Let's start, therefore, at the Halliwell Jones. What do you think? Can Warrington register a first win in the World Club Series?
They can.
Will Warrington register?
I hope so.
As do I.
I definitely.
You're dancing around the question, though.
I'm going to predict a win for Warrington.
Good, as am I.
22 points to 20. I don't think they'll win, but I don't care. I'm going to go heart over head and go Super League over NRL, Britain over Australia. We're going to show those colonial excrement where they belong. No, but in all seriousness, Warrington obviously have had a good hit out. They, I hope, can call on a couple of players that maybe missed out through injury and that sort of thing last week, but if not, the players that are in there have had a game to get themselves ready, whereas Brisbane haven't quite had the same preparation. This is very much a trial game for them leading into their season. And that's why I think Warrington can win this one.
Okay.
What do you think?
I agree with you. I think Warrington can win this one, and I've gone with my heart as well, primarily because I'll be picking an Australian side in the next game that we talk about for a win, so it sort of assuages my lack of patriotism. But no, I think it's going to be sort of a bit rainier on Saturday than it is on Sunday, which could play into the hands of the team that are used to playing in more British conditions, shall we say. Slightly lower scoring than you've predicted. I'm going to go 18 points to 12 in favour of the Wire. So, that out of the way, we get to Sunday, Mark. Your Wigan's Warriors' opportunity to be crowned the best club rugby league side in the world. Standing in their way, 2016's premiers, the Cronulla Sharks. How excited are you? It's the first podcast derby for about, and it's contrived really, but it's the first proper podcast derby we've had for about 3 years, isn't it? 2 years.
It's contrived, but it's proper.
It's a proper contrivement. Yeah, there you go.
I I'm quietly, not quietly. I'm hopeful and a little bit confident. I think we've got a good chance. I think we've got more of our. We'll have more of our grand final winning side out than Cronulla will, I believe. With the way things have fallen, like some of our star players were already injured for that sort of thing. We had a